So this is kind of a take two. Going to attempt to do a video on Christianity and psychedelics. So I find psychedelics interesting, especially from one among many treatment plans or methodologies that humanity might use to get to the next era. I'm kind of this game B type who believes we have to engineer our future now. The strategies of the past will not continue to work in the future because we have exponential growth and we have many capacities to destroy ourselves, from atomic bombs to destroying our environment through exponential depletion of resources and pollution of the environment, to biowarfare, and there's so many ways we can destroy ourselves. We have to engineer our future. Psychedelics seems to be an interesting way to help develop a game B mentality among just various people. Say it's an option. Let's say we develop 10 different options for game B, and then psychedelics is one of the paths. And then I'm sure there would be people that would try one path and another and that kind of thing. But the point is to have paths, to have them, to engineer them, and to develop them. Anyway, so I wanted to relate it to my Christianity, though. I think, let me start it this way. Some would say psychedelics are anti-Christian for various reasons. The substance argument is a little weak because there's alcohol in the Bible. That's the only drug that we have a clear handle on. Some will argue, of course, that any use of substances, mind-altering substances, is somehow connected to witchcraft and demonic possession and that kind of thing. I'm not going to make that argument. I will say, however, there is a line of argumentation from the psychedelic community themselves, or at least from some proponents of psychedelics, which is that psychedelics tends to be a kind of shortcut. And I think that's right. In fact, I would argue that the Christian path is intended to do what psychedelics does in some ways, only on a larger time scale and in a way that is intended to develop wisdom over time. Whereas it is not obvious to me that while psychedelics might grant a game change to one's mind, a perspective shift, I'll talk about this real quick. It seems to me that what psychedelics might do is shut down certain controls between the hemispheres, such that while the left brain, and I'm relying heavily on Ian McGilchrist's work here, while the left brain will often seek to be in control, especially in our society today, particularly in our society today, although arguably hunter-gatherers would also have to be left brain dominant in order to be good hunters and be good gatherers. And yet, you got to have the right brain in there to innovate new ways of doing it and to see the whole field correctly. The left brain, as Ian McGilchrist says, if he's right, left brain is specialized in grasping. That's a little bit Peterson there, I suppose. But then the right brain is more like grokking or seeing the entire field, the gestalt. So anyway, I'm not going to go into that much anymore. I had a different point though. Psychedelics appears to me that it removes some of the controls between the hemispheres, so that the left brain is kind of forced to see the whole picture from the right brain, which doesn't normally happen, I don't think. Normally, the left brain is very in control, which is kind of what it does, and doesn't get to see what the right brain is thinking, whereas the right brain is always observing the left brain, and in some cases, especially if we are left brain dominant, is obeying the left brain, even though I don't think it should. I think it should be the other way around. But when we are left brain dominant, it means that the right brain has submitted to the left brain, something like that. But when we are right brain dominant, it means something, well, it means a similar thing, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the left brain knows what the right brain is doing. I think the left brain hears what the left brain is. The left brain hears what the right brain is doing, meaning it's linear. It's sound bit by sound bit. It's a piecemeal process. Hearing, you hear this, then you hear this, then you hear this, and then you have to put it all together. But the right brain sees, meaning it gets the whole picture. I'm speaking analogically, of course. Both sides of the brain hear and see, and they use that data differently, which is interesting and tells us something about them. So I think psychedelics somehow removes the controls. So anyway, moving right along, I believe Christianity, the practices such as meditation on God, on the nature of God, on the nature of love, on the nature of the virtues, on all the practices, in the Old Testament would have been the priestly duties and the rituals. In the New Testament and in the church today, it is in the rituals of you could even argue marriage, but also things like communion and baptism, prayer and different methodologies of prayer, especially because prayer comes in so many different forms. Like, you can really nuance down many different methodologies in kind of the general toolbox of prayer across denominations. So Christianity, to me, is putting together that right brain perspective over time. It's getting this kind of mapping of the left brain with the right brain through these disciplines, through these meditative processes, and you could argue, Buddhism does the same thing and such, but I would also argue, and I think I just did kind of an initial video on this about what salvation means and does, but the symbology of Christ Jesus himself as being God, as being limited to mankind, then sacrificing everything rather than taking it all. He resists becoming king at every step. I think that's one of the reasons, one of the Discord channels I'm on, the question arises, why did Jesus tell people not to tell others what he had done? Well, I think it's kingdom mediation. He doesn't want to be the king on earth. That's not the point. The point is to be king of the soul region, of the spiritual. And so he is constantly dampening down his message so as not to be conscripted as king, to not spark a revolution. And of course that eventually sparks a revolution against him. All of that is a part of what it means it's all a parallel to what psychedelics can do. Okay, I'm at work. Thanks. Bye.